call the meeting to order. Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Chairman Merrick?
Present.
Supervisor Fisher?
Here.
Supervisor Durr?
Here.
Supervisor Wolf?
Here.
Supervisor Radke?
Here.
And Madam Clerk, have we met the open meeting law requirements?
Yes, we have.
And then we can begin with citizens' comments. Going once.
I came all the way in. Good evening, Sandy Hom, West 230, South 3827, Milky Way Road. Didn't write anything out, I just have a couple comments. I did look at all the pictures of the woman, Lisa Lechner, and I don't know if she's pulled her request or not, but certainly it seems like she's made a good faith effort from what I saw, so that if she still wants her extension, I would certainly be in support of that. Under 15, when you go into closed session, I don't know what there's left to talk about based on what was in the Freeman this morning. It seems like the city is pretty intent on selling that piece of property to the buyer they have now. And the other two comments I have relate to items 13 and 14. And I think at one point in a previous meeting, someone mentioned that this was an item that could conceivably be put on a referendum, and somebody on the board thought that there was no need for that. I think there's a need for that, and I think that restructuring the town entirely is something that the people should have some input in, and furthermore, I think that it seems rushed, and I mean, even if I was in favor of it, and I'm not sure that I am, I don't know why it couldn't occur a year from now. I just don't see any reason that there's any urgency. Two other things related to that. On line item 30, it just confused me. It's on both documents where it says village. And so, and right in item number 29 and 28, it says town throughout the document, and then it says village. So I was wondering if maybe that might be addressed. And for position creation, it talks about the town government has become increasingly complex and expensive. And I can't address the complexity. I have no idea what the state imposes on us. But expense-wise, our taxes have remained relatively constant. So I don't see that as an argument for needing an administrator. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Judy Valier, and I reside. I can't even tell you what the numbers are. Every time I swear that somebody jumbles my numbers when I come, where do I vote? But I'm on the northwest side of town, and I was concerned about, I guess you can call it restructuring the government, but I haven't had a lot of time to think about it. But I do know that if you're going to create a position, you probably need to look over all the responsibilities. I am concerned that maybe there's some sort of a shift in power when you create it. You know, I'm looking at these county executives and stuff, and people are coming in, and all of a sudden they're going to do that. So I think that people below sometimes lose their ability to influence things and get the importance of the things they're concerned about, which would be in your government, to get to the top. And that each time you take a step like that, you lose some of that information. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but I'm not sure that we should do this. I think we're concerned it's going to be an increase in money and what we'll end up paying, and are we going to post this, and are people all going to apply, or how is that all going to go? Because I think when you change things like that, people take a look at that and they want to know. Everybody here is elected, So I'm looking at where is the power? The power should be in the people that we elect. And then you kind of siphon that off, and all of a sudden, I don't know. I just look at that, and having been at all levels, I look at it and say, okay, so the things that I said that I thought would be brought up never got brought up, and so then you kind of lose your ability to go to the top. And if you want to follow the chain up to the top, you know, do you want to do that? Do you want to go to the top? Do you want to have the ability to talk to all these different people, or do you want to funnel it all through one place and go to the top? So I'm just saying, I think that maybe you'll miss a lot of stuff with a small government if you change the structure. So I would need a lot more time to think about it. I've only just recently looked at it, and I'm not totally unaware of what happened at the last meeting. So I don't know. So we'll see how it goes tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I need her address.
Oh, your address for the clerk, ma'am?
My what?
Your address for the clerk, please?
Oh, West 228, South 1512, Antioch.
Thank you. Anybody else? And we can move on to the minutes of September 6th and October 18. Is there any objection to taking them both at once?
I think, didn't you recuse yourself from the one on the 18th?
Thank you.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of September 6, 2018.
Second.
Brian. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to the meeting minutes of the 18th of October. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of the meeting from October 18, 2018.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I will be recusing myself on that one. On to 7 reports, starting with the clerk treasurer.
So general fund revenues are $2,390,000. Our general fund expenditures are $1,997,000. Fire inspection revenues, there is no change. In the fire inspection expenditures, $39,000. Our capital fund revenues, there are no change, and the capital fund expenditures are $1,983,000. The town received notice of denial from the state concerning the possible annexation of property to the village of Big Bend. The Big Bend Commission decided to, if the property was annexed, that they would have it come in zoned agriculture. The town hall windows have been replaced. Bridge inspections have been complete. The budget notice is out. The office has been tied up with election prep, and we are currently doing in-office absentee ballots starting Monday. It's been keeping the office pretty busy. That's my report.
Any questions for the clerk?
So we started early voting Monday?
Monday.
Okay. Do you know how many we've done so far?
In the last 3 days, we did 336 absentees. Ooh. We have a total of 805 absentees that were sent out at this time.
So we're doing about a little over 100 a day? No, a little under 100 a day.
No, over 100 a day.
Okay.
118, 110, 108.
Thank you. On to the fire department. Oh, I'm sorry, DPW. Jerry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Our October work consisted of, we did one culvert install on Tim Drive in a Rolling Oak subdivision. We completed all our shoulder work on our newly paved roads, Oak Grove, Heather Drive, Valley View, and Milky Way, so that's all complete. We did some tree work, responded to our job orders, as needed. Equipment, vehicle maintenance. Our road striping has all been completed through the county on our newly paved roads and our roads that had road work done to them. We worked on fall maintenance and grounds cleanup around our town grounds. We had a few rain days, so we installed all new lighting in our town DPW garage. in 2017, we had a quote of about $3,500 to have new lighting installed. We had money in our budget, so the DPW department, we installed them ourselves, and it came out to a little under $1,000. So we saved a couple bucks. We got rid of our sodium vapor lights. We can see. They're more efficient. Well, you can see I need. Vision isn't getting any better. Anyhow, that was October. In November, we're going to get all our snow removal equipment, prepped and ready for the upcoming snow season. Again, tree and brush work, we'll be taking care of that. Responding to our job orders, any culvert installations that may come in. We got some snow fence to put up, and then in November we also got to help out the clerk's office with the November election, and whatever else comes up, we'll take care of it. That's my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the DPW director? Thank you, Jerry.
All right.
On to the fire department, Chief.
September, we responded to 34 ambulance requests, 1 motor vehicle accident, 9 fire responses. We gave mutual aid 9 times. We received mutual aid 14 times. 10 of those were paramedic combination with Vernon. 3 members left the department in September. 1 member went on leave of absence. 1 member returned from leave of absence, and 2 new members started in September. We have 33 active members. 4 members on leave of absence, secretary, treasurer, and 4 high school cadets. Fire Prevention Week was pretty successful for us. Pancake Breakfast had 1,076 people in attendance just for breakfast, and we went to Rose Glen School and did programs there for the week between the 8th and the 12th of October. At that program, we had 526 kids and 28 staff members that went through that program. And then fire inspections are continuing for the last period of 2018.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief?
Question, Dan, do you know how that compares to last year for your numbers for the pancake?
We're about 30 people short of last year.
Okay.
Thank you. Nobody is here from the Sheriff's Department, so we'll move on to 8, discussion and possible action on a 30-day extension, request from Lisa Lechner for non-compliance property. That property has been brought into compliance. There is no action needed on it. We can move on to 9, discussion and possible action on codification proofs. No action is needed. This is just here for discussion if anybody has any topics of discussion. Seeing none, we can move on to 10. Discussion and possible action on the City of Waukesha's request for a sidewalk on Prairie Drive from Sunset to the railroad crossing. I would make a motion for Attorney Macy to look into the contract for viability, that it is still in fact viable. And I will make that motion. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
And discussion.
I have a comment, unless somebody wants to go first, and maybe this could be, I'm sure he would pick this up, but called to his attention on page 5 of that 30-year-old agreement, last paragraph on the bottom of that page, couple of sentences from the end, it says the town shall specially assess the cost of such sidewalks against adjoining properties. It says 10, but I think it's supposed to be in the town. And I guess I would just point out, I think, and maybe Supervisor Radke even knows better, but I mean that adjacent property on the west side has been annexed into the city, has it not? I mean, that city property. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I would question the applicability of that. That might have made sense when that was town property, but how do you especially assess that against an adjoining town property when it's city property, at least on the west side? That's nonsensical.
The attorney's already aware of that.
To me. Okay, well, good.
So a first and a second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to 11, discussion possible action on the 2019 to 2023 capital projects. I will make a motion for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
A couple of things. I know in the past, I think the way that's been put on the agenda, we have rescinded the previous capital project plan. Is that procedurally appropriate or a thing to do tonight? I mean, last year's I think is still in place. Should part of it be to rescind that?
I'll amend my original motion to repeal the 2018-2022 capital project plan and approve the 2019 to 2023 capital project plan. Supervisor Wolf, would that be amenable to you?
Yep. Thank you. Then I have, I guess, one comment. There's a lot of pieces and parts and elements to that, but just one aspect of it. I have an observation, a simple question that I'd like to pose to you, Chairman Merrick, and to each of my three fellow supervisors. And the observation is this: the proposed addition to the fire station is on the capital project plan again. It was supposed to be constructed in 2017, but it wasn't. It was supposed to be constructed this year, but it hasn't been, and it won't be, because it was put on the shelf in late December of last year when the town board refused to move forward. Amazingly, at least to me, is the fact that the town board announced in early December of 2017 in an insert which was included in every tax bill that town residents received, that the addition of the fire station would be constructed in 2018, yet the town board refused to proceed with that less than a month later, last December. So here's the simple question. I mean, no offense to anyone, but I guess I'd like to have people answered directly. And it's simply this: if approval of the contract with the architect is put on the agenda for the meeting of the town board, which is scheduled for November 8th, will you vote for this time so we can move forward? And I guess I would ask you, Chairman Merrick, if you would simply respond and poll the other members of the board if they would support that, please.
It's up to each member of the board. You have any other comments?
No.
We have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to 12, discussion and possible action on the 2019 sheriff's contract. This is a one-year contract. It's been reduced by roughly $10,000 because we're not paying for the squad as it's been paid off. So it's a $159,805 for a 4252 contract, the same that we had last year. I will make a motion for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to 13, discussion and possible action on the creation of an administrative position, ordinance 2018 sub 3. I will make a motion for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
I have a question in item B, selection conditions of employment. In the last paragraph, it specifies that the administrator shall be contracted to hold the office for a 3-year term. I would just like to pose the question to my fellow supervisors if we want to codify the specific length of a contract in the code itself, or if we should leave that for the determination of when and if we hire somebody, and for future boards to do the same as time moves on.
Which
I'm
supervisor?
sorry, it's in the resolution, ordinance number 2018-5. Section 1, Title 2, Administrator, Chapter 4, Town Officials, Town Officers and Employees.
Thank you.
And then towards the bottom, item B, where it talks about selection, conditions of employment. The administrator shall hold a bachelor's degree in public administration or related field, have 6 years of experience in government administration, with at least 3 years of municipal government experience. The administrator shall be contracted to hold office for 3-year term. Just wondering if we want to codify that.
What would be the other option if you would?
Just to not specify a term.
Okay.
And leave it up to whatever this board at the hiring decision time. If we adopt the resolution and we make a decision to hire somebody, we would address it then at contract time, and then future boards would do the same. I just am wondering if we want to put it in the code, that's all.
I think I could be comfortable in either direction. And if I could step back for just a moment and amend the motion, it is for ordinance 2018-05, and Supervisor Radke, would that be amenable to you to amend?
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody else want to weigh in on whether it's contractual or codified?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with 3 years. I think you want to have a length of time in there to solidify the position, and it does say that you can extend it from time to time. I don't know. I would be more comfortable with 3 years in that.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I could go either way, because like Supervisor George said, we can put it either in the contract or in this. Doesn't make a difference to me.
I think I'd be fine leaving it the way that it's written and leaving it in the ordinance itself. Other discussion?
I guess I'll go next. We did get email communication Sunday afternoon from Clerk Treasurer Nicholas, and she invited us to respond if we were looking for more information. I did respond in email, and I know she said she's been really busy with the election, so may not have answers to these. I'd like to read my concerns, questions, or requests into the record, and if any point in time, if there are answers to them, people can jump in. So number one is a box entitled Town Chairperson, or words to that effect, appeared on the initial org chart that was prepared and distributed earlier this year. This box does not appear on the org charts that you attached to your email communication on Sunday, October 21st, or on the org charts that you included in the package that you posted on Monday, October 22nd. Who deleted the box entitled Town Chairperson, or words to that effect, and why?
Town chair is part of the board, and the board is in that box now.
Okay. Concern, question, or request number two is the org charts that you attached to your email communication on Sunday, October 21st, are not the same org charts that you included in the package that you posted on Monday, October 22nd. The box entitled Fire Commission appears on the former but not the latter. Who deleted it and why? Is there
on Attorney Macy's suggestion.
Okay, and why did he suggest that?
He's not here to answer that question, but it was his suggestion.
Which set of org charts are we supposed to use? The ones from Sunday or the ones from Monday?
Obviously, the most recent.
Well,
okay.
From my point of view, I'm using the org chart that's in the packet as of right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Per all of these org charts, the fire chief is subordinate to the administrator or administrator/clerk/treasurer. Please ask Attorney Macy to provide a written opinion about the appropriateness of making the fire chief subordinate to the administrator or administrator city clerk treasurer. I'm assuming we don't have such a written opinion at this time.
We do not.
Are you, and I was directed to Kathy, or ask him, aware of any municipalities in this area in which the fire chief is subordinate to administrator or manager. Anybody aware of any of those? If so, please identify them.
As well as fire chiefs and as well as chiefs of police.
And those communities would be what?
I don't have the list with me.
So we don't have a list.
I think it's with the attorney letter that you have. Same,
With an
same place.
attorney letter?
Yeah, the one that's mysteriously missing all the time.
Well, I'm not here to be funny, John. I
Me
guess
neither.
we'll leave that for Kathy.
I have one,
I would like to know
Supervisor
that.
Fisher.
Go ahead.
It's actually the town of Buchanan. And they have a very similar setup as to how the so-called org chart is, that the fire and rescue chief, law enforcement, town engineer, everybody reports up to the town administrator.
Okay. Do they have a fire commission?
It doesn't list it on here.
Okay. They have an
Of
org
course.
chart, do they?
They do, actually.
Okay.
I'd be glad to give that to you.
Well,
'cause
I would be so happy to receive it. I can't tell you how happy I'd be.
You also can go online. It's the town of Buchanan, Buchanan,
Okay.
which I did.
All right.
It's pretty easy. If you do a search in Google, it'll tell you things like, are there town administrators in the state of Wisconsin? Those types of things. So
Oh.
if you're looking to do research on
Okay.
something, it's a wonderful tool.
Well, I posed a question, and I guess I would like to know, again, a written opinion from Attorney Macy as to whether that's appropriate. Do you have any problem with me making that request?
I think it's unnecessary to make a written opinion request when your question's answered right here.
Do you have a problem with me asking for Attorney Macy to render an opinion in that regard?
A written opinion, I do actually, because part of
Really?
my duties as a supervisor is to protect the town coffers, and
Right.
a waste of money like
Okay.
that to me just seems frivolous.
Well, I would refer you to the town ordinances, which says the town board member can ask for a written opinion from the town attorney, which shall be put forth and delivered to the town clerk.
I'm aware of that. You
Well,
asked my
then I'm asking you
opinion,
to do it.
Brian, and I gave you my opinion.
No, I ask you if you objected, and you do.
And I
So
do.
let's move on. Okay, you object to that. I still would like to have that request honored. Is that okay, Kathy?
Yeah, I guess. I'm not, I'm just a clerk. If you tell me I have to do something, the board agrees that that's what needs to be done.
Isn't that what it says?
Does it have
Okay.
to be made by the ordinance number you referenced, please, Supervisor Fisher?
What's that?
What is the ordinance number you referenced, please?
I'll get that to you later in the meeting. I'm not going to waste time now.
I want to know if it's by one supervisor or by multiple supervisors that the request.
I'll get that to you. I'll move
Okay,
on.
so
I'll
at
get
this
that to you.
point, then, no, we are not making a request to the attorney to spend money
All right.
needlessly.
Do you want to take time out now to do it? Do you want to waste time for me to look for it, or do you want to wait until we...
You're going to look
get
for it
further?
one way or the other.
All right. I'm happy to do it.
Somebody gonna order in pizza?
We'll take a 2 or 3 minute break if that's okay.
Well, thank you, Supervisor Radke. Your copying skills are quite impressive.
Thank you.
So
Whenever the town chairman decides to return, we're ready to go.
Kind of.
We are back in session.
In answer to your question, I would direct you to, I'm looking at the recodification, but it's got the same language in it. It's now what section 2-112 under town attorney. In the previous code, it was 2-4-12. And at paragraph 5, duties, it says the town attorney shall have the following duties. And under under subparagraph 2, it says he shall, when requested by town officers, of which I am one. I'm assuming you wouldn't contest that, would you?
Move on.
Do you agree?
Move on.
All right, I'm a town officer, give written legal opinions which shall be filed with the town. Okay?
Oh, very good. Okay.
So you accept that?
So you are directing the clerk to spend several $100s to get whatever opinion you want. Go ahead.
Attorney Macy's real sharp. I'm sure he can answer that quickly. All right, question or concern or request number 3 then is, notwithstanding those 2 previous concerns and questions, number 1 and 2, please prepare and distribute an org chart which includes boxes for the following: town chairperson, fire commission, plan commission, auditor, election officials or poll workers or whatever you prefer to call them, snow removal and ice control contractor, or whatever words you choose. So I'm asking for such an org chart. Concern or question or request number 4 is?
Stand by, please.
Sure.
The town chairperson is not included in the org chart because the chair is part of the town board. That's there. Fire commission was told to be removed by the attorney, so it's been removed. The administrator would not have a role in front of the plan commission or the auditor. It wouldn't be proper for a clerk, a treasurer, or a administrator to direct the person that's auditing their work. Election officials fall under staff of the deputy clerk treasurer, and snow and ice control would fall under the public works director. So it's all there. If you want a different org chart, Brian, make one up.
Here's where it goes, John. Real simple, okay? And you can verbalize those. I'm even looking at the proposed duties for the town administrator, town clerk, treasurer, administrator, okay? Look at number 18, and I'll read it to you, okay? It says, develop and update the organizational structure of the town, inclusive of its chain authority and responsibilities as approved by the town board. That's right in a duty of one of the things that we are proposing. Why is it an unreasonable request at this point in time to put those things on the town org chart?
So that's
They
under
are here. They're here. Here's the org chart.
No, they are not.
If you want a different thing, create it and bring it here for discussion. Because that's what you should have done. If you wanted to discuss a different org chart, then you should have brought one.
No, time out, Chairman Merrick. Kathy, when she sent this out on Sunday, she said if you would like additional information, request it. That's what I'm doing.
No, you're asking for a different org chart than the one that's been developed. If you want a different org chart, you should have brought one here for discussion, because the agenda clearly read, this is for discussion. If you want to discuss something different, bring it.
I'm discussing it, and I'm asking, that's a reasonable request, to include those missing things on an org chart.
They're not missing.
They are.
The fire
They're
commission
not
was told to be taken out. The town chairperson is part of the board, and the board is there. The administrator would have no authority over a plan commission, certainly not over a board. it wouldn't be proper for an administrator or a clerk treasurer to have authority over an administrator or auditor for which they are doing the auditing for that position. Elected officials and poll workers, or whatever you want to call them, is within the staff of the clerk and treasurer. Snow and ice control contractors fall under the DPW. It's all there, Brian.
Moving on, concern question
Thank you.
request
I answered
number
your
4.
question.
Can I ask a
Please
question?
prepare, sure, go ahead.
You quoted, and I missed it just a little bit, I apologize.
Yeah.
Somebody's responsibilities for providing this, and where was that from?
It's on 18 under the proposed duties. I mean, we're not there yet,
So
but
that's
I'm
what
saying it's not an unreasonable request. Under the proposed duties for town administrator. I'm saying it's verbalized there.
Right.
It's
So-
not an unreasonable request to have those things appear on an org chart. That's my point of view. If you want to disagree, that's fine. Okay?
I haven't gotten 3 words, and how could you possibly know if I'm disagreeing or not? I'm asking a question.
Floor is yours.
You sure? Thank you. So if one of the duties for the administrator is to develop and update an organizational structure of the town inclusive of its chair authority and responsibilities as approved by the town board, isn't that, why are we asking the clerk to do that if that's a responsibility of an administrator that we don't have?
The reason I'm asking for it is we're talking about creating a completely new organizational structure. And I think for people to understand what's being proposed, I think it's important to have those pieces there.
Okay.
If you disagree, fine.
I didn't say that I disagreed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you agree?
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Concern question request number 4 is to prepare and distribute an org chart which reflects the organizational relationships between elected officials, appointed officials, employees, and those who provide contracted services as those organizational relationships currently exist. Such an org chart will be a valuable tool for comparing and contrasting current organizational relationships and proposed organizational relationships. So that's a request that I made for additional information. Pardon me, I'm sorry. That's not a request for additional information. That's a request to change the organizational chart that you've been provided. No, you didn't understand. It's completely different. I'm asking so we and town residents can compare and contrast what we have versus what we're being proposed. I'm asking for an org chart for what we now have, so we've got a working tool so we can understand where we're proposing to go. That's the request. Request number 5 is, I note that reporter Brandon Anderegg, I believe it is, wrote in part as follows in Waukesha Freeman on July 27, 2018 as follows. Merrick previously told a Freeman reporter that an administrator would bring continuity to the town government. Merrick also said the administrator would serve as a point person so that members in each department would have someone to report to. So my request for additional information was to please identify all of the members of each department who do not have someone to report to at this time. So that was request number 5.
I think you have that information already.
No, I don't think I do.
What department heads have somebody to report to?
Which ones do not?
Which ones do is my question to you, Supervisor.
No, my question here is to identify the ones that do not.
None of them.
They all do. Okay. Concern question request number 6 then is, I note that reference is made in ordinance number 2018-05 as proposed to a time when town government has become increasingly complex and expensive. And my request is, where or from whom did these words come? And regardless of the source, I find this premise to be questionable. Can you identify some specific examples of how the government of the town of Waukesha has become increasingly complex and expensive? Any specific examples in that regard, or where did the language come from?
Act 67, I think that's appropriate.
Okay. Anything else?
I think some of the zoning laws and changes are appropriate.
Such as?
Pretty much the whole open book on zoning laws.
Our town zoning ordinance? So you think that has become increasingly complex?
I do.
Okay, and isn't that something that the town attorney and the town planner should be dealing with mostly?
I don't disagree, but
Okay.
you asked if that was complex.
Okay, but that's what's been given as a justification for the town administrator position. Concern question request number 7. I've written, you have provided a job description and duties for the proposed administrator. Please provide a job description and the duties for the proposed administrator clerk treasurer. I assume that they're not the same, which would make any sense. So can we, and I'll get to this downstream, but if we're considering that, we should have, I would think, a job description and duties for the administrator clerk treasurer, should we not?
I can touch on this if you
Okay.
would allow.
Go ahead.
So we're not creating a position for an administrator clerk treasurer. These are two separate positions. You can assign the clerk treasurer position A and the administrator position B to the same person. You don't have to. It doesn't necessarily have to be the clerk treasurer. There are other positions within the town that the administrator could be assigned to. So the way that I see this is that we're not creating a position of administrator clerk treasurer. We're creating a position of administrator, and that's a standalone position, which in the future may or may not be the same as the clerk treasurer.
Okay, well, I'm going to jump ahead then where I have got a concern with that, and this is something that I just bumped into this afternoon. But if you go to my concern opinion question, request number 12, I write, per my reading of chapter 60 of the Wisconsin statutes, our clerk treasurer is a town officer. Per Wisconsin Stat 60.30, the proposed town administrator would be a town employee, not a town administrator. And that's per Wisconsin Stat 60.37. And then importantly, under Wisconsin Stat 60.37, parens 3, parens B, it says verbatim, the town administrator shall perform all lawful duties assigned by the town board which do not conflict with the duties and powers conferred by law on other town officers. And my takeaway of that from that is because of the inherent conflict which would result, the positions of clerk treasurer and town administrator cannot be combined. Please ask Attorney Macy if he concurs. It would be helpful if he would reduce his opinions to writing sooner rather than later.
Why would the duties of a clerk treasurer conflict with the powers or the duties of a administrator?
State statute, John.
Well,
No. I asked you a question. You made the comment that they are inherently in conflict with each other. How could that possibly? What twisted logic do you have that those two would conflict with each other?
Well, if the town administrator is trying to do the duties of the town treasurer, that'd be a conflict.
How?
I just explained it.
No, you didn't. You just said
I
that.
certainly did.
No, you didn't. You didn't explain it. You said that the town administrator would conflict with duties of the town treasurer.
No,
How?
would be conflicting if it is consolidated into one position. My point of view is that it is inherently conflicting to have a town officer and a town employee.
Do you have a legal opinion on that from a licensed attorney once again?
No, I just told you
so.
that. Yeah, all right.
Thank
you
you.
can be as disparaging as you want.
I'm not being disparaging. I'm being accurate.
I am asking for a written opinion from Attorney Macy. Do I have to read the code back again?
No, you don't.
Then provide that opinion.
Madam Clerk, go
Provide
ahead.
that opinion.
Madam Clerk, go ahead and have the attorney.
Yes.
On Supervisor Fisher's wish, and nobody else's on this board wish, flush a few more $100 down the toilet on an opinion.
Yep. There
Continue,
we go.
Mr. Fisher.
Thank you. Thank you for being so disparaging, Mr. Chairman.
I'm just being accurate. I'm being accurate that nobody else is asking for that money to be flushed down the legal toilet other than you.
Wow, there we go. That is really impressive.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Concern question request number 8 is, please forward all of the written materials pertaining to the creation of the administrator position to the auditor and ask the auditor to identify concerns, if any, pertaining to the proposed organizational structures and the job description and duties for the proposed administrator or administrator clerk treasurer. And I reference back to concern question request number 7, and I write particularly as those concerns may arise from the consolidation of authority over the financial affairs of the town in a single individual.
And you have a letter from our auditor.
Okay.
In your possession saying that there is no problem with those duties being combined.
Should somebody read this in?
Yeah, I'll read it in, or you can if you would like.
Makes no difference.
Okay. Thanks for reaching out. From my experience with various other municipalities of your size, I have seen a mix of structures with this position. Some have a separate administrator and clerk treasurer, and others have combined all the positions into one. From an audit standpoint, as long as you maintain the segregation of duties over your key transaction cycles, which it sounds like you would be, you wouldn't see a change in our communication. However, I am unable to provide you with any recommendation or opinion on this matter. If you so choose, we do have a team of individuals who perform operations reviews that I could connect you with that could assess and make recommendations. And that was signed by Paul Franz, CPA, Senior Manager, Baker Tilly Virtue Kraus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Concern question request number 9 is Attorney Macy coming to the meeting tonight. The answer to that is obvious. Concern question number 10 is in the scenario in which the positions of town administrator and clerk treasurer are not combined. What are the proposed annual salaries or hourly rates of pay for any of the positions which are paid on an hourly basis for the town administrator, the clerk treasurer, and the deputy clerk treasurer? And then the second question is, in the scenario in which the positions of town administrator and clerk treasurer are combined, what are the proposed annual salaries or hourly rates of pay for any of the portions of positions which are paid on an hourly basis for the town administrator, clerk treasurer, and the deputy clerk treasurer? Do we have any answers to that?
That would be up to the town board.
Okay. Are we envisioning that if we had a separate town administrator and a separate town clerk treasurer, we're adding a position? Would the aggregate salaries of those positions be more than they presently are?
That would be up to the town board at the time.
Well, are we proposing to, by creating a new position, add an extra staff person?
It'd be up to the town board at the time, Brian.
Okay. Concern question request number 11 is there some imperative to create the position of town administrator or town administrator clerk treasurer at this time? If there is an urgency to do so, what is it? Couldn't and why shouldn't the consideration of the proposal be deferred until the annual meeting in April 2019, allowing the residents of the town of Waukesha the opportunity to become fully informed and participate in the decision? Wouldn't that make more sense?
No. State statutes are quite clear that adding positions or changing positions is a town board duty, and that is based on state statutes. It is not a referendum question.
I'm not talking about a referendum. I'm talking about an annual meeting, and I don't believe there's anything in state statutes that would preclude that. My concern about this, John, and I mean, I would be happy to engage other members of the town board as well. This information was first put on the town's website under packets on Monday. Today's Thursday. This is a big decision for the town of Waukesha.
Oh, that's nonsense.
Let
We're
me
adding
finish.
a
It is not.
position to add
No.
continuity and accountability to department heads. It is not a big decision, other than the fact that it's going to add continuity, accountability to the department heads. This isn't some life-changing thing, Brian. Don't make this more than it is.
John?
This is simply for organization within town government. It's needed and well-deserved.
John, don't be disparaging. Give me an opportunity to offer my
your
point of view.
disparaging nonsense.
Well, I suspect that it's pointless to continue any discussion.
Fair enough. Any other discussion? We have a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion for an amendment, and we can handle that in a separate vote would be fine, I think. Back to my question, or my issue that I raised earlier for item B in the ordinance. I would make a motion to strike the sentence, "The administrator shall be contracted to hold office for a 3-year term, such a term to be extended from time to time by the town board." That would be my motion. So.
Just strike the entire sentence
The last sentence, right.
in B.
So that
Fair
would be
enough.
my amendment.
I'll second that.
Okay, I stated my position before. I'm just curious to see what a vote would bring.
Fair enough. Any discussion on, and we'll vote on that amendment first and then the
Correct.
previous motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
One other
Carries.
further item of discussion, if I might. I note that the agenda for the closed session includes discussion of the administrator position. Is it the intention of the town board, if this passes tonight, to make an appointment to that position, the new position, whatever it is, without advertising it or posting it?
That'll be discussed in closed session, I'm sure. Any other discussion?
I guess regardless of whether it's discussed in closed session, I would like to poll the town board whether you think that's an appropriate thing to do.
That is an item that is on for closed session.
No, it's
Supervisor
a
Fisher,
question and open
and
discussion
you
whether that is
clearly
appropriate.
understand that we do not discuss items that are set for closed session in open session.
No, this is respectfully, this is a very appropriate item for open discussion as to whether or not it is appropriate to create a position without advertising it. That's absolutely appropriate for open session, and my opinion is that it is not.
So
And I would like to know
if I may,
opinions of others.
If I may, I want to be clear that we're not creating a position in closed session. We are sitting here in open session, going through the process of creating a position. Okay, you just made a statement that we're going to go into closed session to create a position. That is not true. And you have been very, very careful with your words. So I want to be clear that we are sitting here in open session to create a position. Is that your
If I said that, I misspoke. I understand that's happening here. My question directly to you is, assuming that this position is created in open session, do you believe it's appropriate to appoint someone to that position in closed session without advertising or posting the position? That's my question.
And since that's an item for closed session, I'll respect the item and discuss in closed session. But you are typically, and to your credit, very careful with your words. So I just wanted to be sure that we all understand that we're creating the position in open session.
We agree on that. Does anyone else have an opinion to offer as if we do this, whether it is appropriate to post this position, to offer this position? Anybody?
Well, I don't think that's even appropriate to discuss now. We haven't even created the position yet. So how can
All right,
sit
well,
here and say-
assuming, I think I said assuming, let's wait till we create the position, assuming it's gonna happen, will you be willing to answer the question then?
If it's on the next item on the agenda, I'll answer it. If it's related to that, I don't see how it is.
Anything else? Then we've got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Regarding item 14, we will not be combining the administrator position with the clerk treasurer position, so no action is needed. 15, announced closed session. You are hereby notified that the town board of the town of Waukesha will convene in May upon duly made motion and seconded and acted upon by roll call vote as required in Wisconsin Stats 1985 sub 1 sub C. Go into closed session. During the course of the meeting, the town board members may attend the closed session. The purpose of the closed session will be as follows. Consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility as authorized under 1985 sub 1 sub C, specifically relating to the fire chief, DPW director, and administrator. You may have noticed that the middle paragraph was left out, as we will not be discussing that issue, as well as 1985 sub 1 sub E was not mentioned, as we will not be discussing that issue. Madam Clerk, a roll call vote.
What was that
we'll
again?
need a motion.
Could you explain that again, please? I lost that. What did you say?
I did not announce 1985 sub 1 sub E, as we will not be deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties or investing in public funds. Is there a motion?
Move we go into closed session.
And a second.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, a roll call vote, please.
Is this available for
Supervisor,
Sure. Yes.
Why are we not discussing the middle item?
so I put it on there just in case we heard back from the city as kind of a placeholder. We
Oh,
had
very
not
good.
heard anything back from the city.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Radke.
Aye.
Supervisor Durr.
Aye.
Supervisor Wolf.
Aye.
Supervisor Fisher.
Aye.
And Chairman Merrick.
Aye. We're in closed session. We'll be out as quickly as possible.
Why did we all come here?
I have no. Basically says on the citizens' comments, you can't comment or bring anything to their attention unless it's, as it states, each person who wishes to address the town board may do so at the podium at maximum 3 minutes. That's okay. And then it says the board will only receive comments during citizen comments for items on the agenda.
That's right.
Well, what the hell?
It has to be on the agenda in order to, where they can discuss it afterwards, after you make a comment. To where they can go by what you have said.
So at the beginning on the citizens' comment, anything can be brought up. Is that what you're saying?
Anything on the agenda?
Okay, well, how do you get it on the agenda? Because the reason I'm here is I'm a general contractor, which I quoted on the garage building back here. And I had some questions on that because the way it was presented in the specs is totally different than what it needed to be quoted as. And in their specs, they specifically said, bids shall be reviewed, discussed, and possibly awarded at the regular town board meeting at 6:30 tonight. Now, does that not say it's supposed to be on the agenda? That's why I'm here, and I don't care what these guys want to argue about. I'm going to bring this to their attention.
I think I got up and said what I thought they should do, though. They need to post this job.
Oh, for sure. Why
You
would-
don't award a job
Well, why
that
would you?
important. She's gonna have
That's
all the
nepotism.
power.
They give that the.
So they want to give us Kathy.
Oh, absolutely. It's an award. It's not a job posting. What do you do when you want to do an important job and you don't have any idea how much you're going to pay and you don't know when it? You just look at that organizational chart.
I guess what is the rationale behind that? Because it gives her more pay? And she's looking for more pay, and that's the way to give it.
She says she's doing the job anyway. I came in and I talked about this because I said, I'm not getting up at the beginning of the meeting and spend 3 minutes talking about something I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
So I went in there and I got the organizational
business
chart.
here, and I just assumed that because it was based on the information that I used for the proposal on this garage that's going in,
Is that
I'm also-
actually on the agenda? Because this is just the closed part.
I don't even, is this the agenda when we walked in?
Yeah.
No, it is not.
No, it is
It's not
not.
on it.
So I'm sitting here going, well, when's my chance to stand in front of the board? I'm just, I'm a taxpayer.
This is the person that they want to sure she came in.
Well, she's the one that drew up the specs. You wanna see what the specs were? I'm gonna tell you right
Is
now,
this,
I walked in
this
here
exactly the
and I
person
did
that
the
you
quote.
want? Are you from the fire department?
That's the chief.
Well, they're gonna be quoting the.
Can you salute to her? That's my question.
I'm telling
See,
you right
I
now.
think this, I'm just a little dummy who's watched Waukesha County government going up, and I'm going like, is this a new person who can, if you got something to say to her and she doesn't pass it on,
What good is it?
what do you got?
Well,
See, I'm just a dope who looked at the thing in the paper and said, this kind of like, I see a big pile of manure with fumes coming off of it. And there's, if this is the kind of stuff that you got going on here, why are people are so pissed off, pardon my French? And this is the stuff. And the guy sits there and he says, well, what about this, what about this, what about this? And they don't want to hear any of it.
well, they just shut down.
So are you, I'm just curious, and I can give you my card later, because I've been real busy, I cover the city, I'm with the Freeman, I cover the city and the county.
Am I the
town.
only dummy in the whole town of Waukesha who just read the article in the paper and said, what the hell is going on
So,
here?
I know they're trying to build a new garage for DPW, right?
Correct.
They bid it out, did they open the bids yet or no?
Apparently they've opened the bids, but my question is, when you
What's your
open the bids to
opinion?
review them, to compare them,
I suppose you
there's usually specifications say
They're very
bid on
vague.
X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
very detailed.
You mean we could have how long
We were so
before it's
vague that we basically had to design a lot of the building
Yeah.
and the perimeters
Maybe you'll have a
and
new one.
stuff.
You
So
never know
the
if you
question
don't talk
is how do you
nice.
compare my quote?
I came right in here this morning and I told her exactly what I thought of this.
Whoever sells it.
Exactly what I thought of
I
it.
would call.
That the job needs to be described and how much it costs, and the people should take a look at it, and the job should be posted.
But they haven't awarded the bid?
Because she's gonna have, I said,
Aren't
this
they
is a
supposed to
power.
have like a bid opening and awarded?
Yeah, well, they had a bid opening, which we
I
made.
It doesn't
Look at
get
the chart.
awarded at the bid opening. It
No.
should get awarded at this type of.
Saying it's gonna be awarded at the
Oh, that's right, okay.
review, discussion, and possible award at the meeting, so I
This
thought,
is
well, this
weird,
will
everything is.
Seems like there's a misunderstanding up there between the board members about what the state
Board of Public
statutes
Works,
are.
and then we get, go through.
Well, if you
And then I've been
could-
interpretation around it, all
Yeah.
sounded the same. Jerry, the guy
I
was
do
sitting
have a
here
couple
that
other things
reported,
like I'm
he's
really concerned
the one I work with, like,
Yeah,
trying to
well, let me
figure
know,
out.
because that's, I mean, they know.
Pipelines going across over Road. That's not even our guys doing it.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
So it's-
Scott Allen.
Yeah, it's a significant number, how about less than they had
I said, you got two
envisioned
pipelines going
back
on
when they
from
brought in
Wolford
their
Road, and the gas
friendly,
Yeah, I don't
lines
even know
across
where
the
they
street.
are.
friendly contractors and stuff, it was massive.
We are accountable.
They're like, take the whole building down, start over, like, no, they,
But yeah, if you know, if you have issues or you let me know about it later, like.
You
next week,
understand some
give me a
of
call.
that stuff.
Okay.
Because I don't know anything about it.
Well, the
We were
ATF.
talking
Well, I'm
about it,
learning.
we were talking to the town of Vernon. And
Probably
it's just
well
like
aware of it more than we are.
Nothing, there's been a bunch of closed session meetings and then there's been nothing.
Sherwood is right on the.
That's come through
there's a lot of secrecy in it.
Valley Harrison.
Yeah.
Fire
Yeah.
now. Well,
Yeah.
One of the ones that
Oh.
said that we need to.
nobody lives there, it's a summer place. Guy next door.
The original proposal, which was over $1.3 million or something,
House was
for
raised
this
off the
complex back here.
No, not
That was a summer house. They finally found out they did it.
Oh, I'm the administrator, sure.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure out.
because they tried to put it in as new business and it wasn't new business. It was something that we had
Scott
discussed
Allen can't talk to
session, I think it
No,
was, that
that
we
is,
tried to bring it on
that's crap.
the
Well,
board
the agenda.
And then they tell us, the windows,
already
we heard
on
it 10 miles away, we heard it in the wall.
of the one thing that they've done, they've taken a lot of things away from the
Power away. Oh, sure.
And we maybe for the first time in the last 2 years.
One time in 2 years.
Yeah.
What good is that?
What good are, yeah.
Well, it's just on one person on the travel. I mean, in the
Oh, the appeal, I see. We've only had that many appeals come
yeah,
through.
and that's all we do is if somebody comes and is appealing
A decision.
Right, you're kind of like an arbitrator type of thing. Is that a sign that they are just not accepting, or people are just backing with these guys because
No, they want to do something that is a little bit different than the zoning is set up.
like a variance or something?
Yeah, just put special variance.
And if they don't like
If
their,
you're too close to the road,
yeah,
and you want.
I've gone for those on other projects of mine.
Sure.
And when they say no, that's it, you walk away. But,
Can be a picture.
yeah, and that's where you step in. I did, but when we went through ours, was it this jurisdiction? I was looking for something, I think it was up in a different town, we have the property. We went to them for a variance of like 6 feet to, around the country. Put a larger opening. Long story short, they shut me down, but if they wanted to appeal it, it was gonna cost something like $300 or $400 to register. And that turns most people off, unless it's an absolute, unless they're really adamant.
Something really that they can't live with without going to it.
Hey, can I interrupt real quick? I'm sorry. So, I'm not sure that I wasn't really this request to have put out there. Yeah, but he was saying like, let's, like, get down to brass tacks whether or not we're gonna pay for building or this addition. But I don't see on. Just, I'm just having it on my phone, it's really tiny. But I just have a bunch of fire trucks.
This is a closed session.
Fire truck.
It depends. Well, if they call the sheriff, because there's fighting, physical fighting going on back there.
Interesting.
Oh, that's what that is.
Usually
Okay.
there's somebody.
Oh, I see, okay.
At the
That
first
would
meeting
add
of the
space.
month, there's usually the sheriff's
Dormitories.
here because we get more people, the plan commission is here. And there's more things going on,
And that is surprising.
and they have,
Put on other businesses.
Yeah, a lot of personal issues going on.
yeah.
That's unfortunate. Maybe nobody should work for them. Maybe it's not a good place to, you don't know when she's gonna pull the plug on you. If you,
No, it's not that bad. They're just there to get reports and,
well, if they got a slow response time from the fire department because can't get this building going, then who's in charge of that?
they've got a good response time.
Well,
Let me
hearing
tell
something
you,
else.
did you see the Dear Freeman
Yes.
on the 3rd of this month?
Yes.
And the big picture? That was my And they responded so quickly, they couldn't do anything for it. It went up in 20 minutes.
Oh, was that the front garage? Garage fire? Yeah, those are really good.
They saved my house.
They were though. Tim
I was so
Snowpack
mad
was
that
guy
that
that
house
kid.
did try to kill us.
It was,
That
2 years old.
Fire Prevention Week, my house started on fire and it was the dehumidifier. He had gotten up and was thinking about going duck hunting, and I got up and the lights were burned out, and I looked up, there was one light left working in my house, and there was just this little circle of smoke. Got my kids out, one of them went back in, crawled in the bunk bed. I mean, we could have easily died here.
So your alarms went off? Smoke alarms went off?
We didn't have smoke alarms. This is like, well, my daughter's 44,
So this is years back.
44 years kids wouldn't go back in the house without smoke alarms in. And they were sleeping in their clothes, cause they didn't want, this was like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was.
How long has it been, 10 years?
Maybe. Big house
Maybe
across
9
the
years
street
or
from
so.
us.
We live on Charles Drive, just north of Town Line Road, off of 164.
Yeah.
We're way out. We're just on the edge. And, where am I? The Charles Drive is where we stuff. But it must be 9 years ago. And we were up on Charles Drive, that's all new development the last 15, 18 years.
This board doesn't see it that way. They think it's just
The guy directly across the street from me. Christmas Day night.
You don't maintain your home that way.
Kids in it, 3 kids, 3 small kids, had unwrapped their packages, threw them in the garbage out in the garage, right below the garage opener and fire extinguisher. About 1 o'clock in the morning, he runs across the street. Mind you, this is now 1 o'clock on December 26th. They pulled up. He comes running over in his skivvies. That's it.
Yeah, more than I had. I had snorkel park in my underwear. That was like,
I'm telling you, he ran across the street. They're big houses and they're far apart. And he's pounding on my door, asking, yelling, ding ding, we wake up. And he's like, I need a fire station. Where's your fire station? I'm like, it's down in my lower garage. Like, and we look across the street, the garage door's opened up because of the heat.
yeah.
And there's a fireball 10 feet across, rolling across the ceiling, up inside the building.
Oh, you don't need a fire extinguisher for that.
She runs right by me in a row, and like, where are the kids? Because he's over here by ourselves, and you can see the smoke, and obviously it's on fire, big time. And kids came out, and one has asthma, so they kicked open all the doors. And there was about a 15-mile-an-hour breeze. Well, you might as well just pour gasoline on it. And that house went to the ground. Down. Town fire department, in Holiday, we called 911 immediately. He came out in a reasonable amount of time. Yeah, it might have been him. You might remember. And he's like,
I can't believe that was 44 years ago we had that fire.
first question he asks is, everyone okay? I'm like, yep. He says, and there's nobody in the building. I said, no, they're all in my living room or standing on my porch. And you feel the heat come 300 feet away. It's just like,
Do you have the thing that says that they would be discussing that
I'm looking
tonight?
at it right here. It's in their request for bid.
Has that got anything to do with the agenda you picked up?
No. There's nothing mentioned about it.
So she put that out.
She put that out saying, get your bids in by 11 o'clock Monday the 15th at the town walk, which we did.
Yeah.
We ran it over here. I mean, we gathered all
And
the
that they're
stuff.
gonna discuss it tonight.
And it shall be plainly marked, blah, blah,
Maybe
blah.
awarded tonight.
Bids shall be open at the time for review, discussion, and possible awards at the regular town meeting tonight, October 25th. Blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm like, well, I'd like to find out how you compared my quote to someone else's when they weren't even close to the same.
Well, where are the other people who are supposed to be here at the meeting? Maybe she let them know.
I have no idea. I'm just interested in my quote, and also the fact that I'm a taxpayer in this township, that are we getting the best bang for our buck, because the proposal that came, just really one-liners, we need plumbing, we need this, well, you put up a building like that
So,
requires special.
number one is, she's not qualified to give
She
information.
tried because they ordered this thing out a year ago or something, and it came in at $1.3 million, because they were gonna take all this area down and start over.
They're not
Like,
gonna do
no.
anything.
Jerry's like, we just want to go in the garage for trucks. I'm like, fine. You need this, you need this. And he had specifics, and I said, well, you're gonna need a different foundation to put on the specs. Yeah, all has to go to the state for approval. I know from experience that the stuff that they put on here for the quote was inadequate for the state. It wouldn't have been approved. So my question is, how did you compare mine, which I bumped up and made it different, expanded the foundation and the necessary things you have to have?
I should go out there and put that right in front of her and say,
How does my quote compare to that
we
guy
confused you?
when I could have taken this thing and sent him a Menard school? Here's your quote. But it doesn't have anything in it, but here's your quote. What happens in the contracting quotes, once they get a cheap quote, they take the lowest bidder. And then that bidder knows that he doesn't have everything included in it that's adequate. Now the guessing is what type of furniture you're putting in, or how big that pipe is, or anything about that building. And that's why they pay an architect big money to do that. And you get 400 pages of data. So you can look up
And she
everything,
thinks
including
that
what
one
size
page
the
is
nail
adequate.
what the damn wall.
Did you hear that? She thinks one page is adequate. You don't have to have all those pages. That's something that came right out of her mouth about this kind of stuff.
Well, that's bullshit.
You got it. She goes, we could put that all on one page. You're not.
You're gonna spend $300,000 plus, and you wouldn't build your house on one page. No. Well, that's what they're asking you to do.
But that's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm hearing.
She needs to have that job posted, not awarded to her, so that people can come in and say, these are my qualifications to do this job.
They don't wanna go through that motions because they're very bad.
There's enough crap going on in this town already, now that we're opposed, this is
I'm gonna guess
crazy.
that one of these guys up here is a contractor, probably an engineer. Maybe an architect, someone, I don't know what their is.
Brian Fisher is an architect.
Well, then he's probably gonna be the guy answering this, because I'm sure that they would have him review.
Jim Radke owns the
When they come back, maybe you wanna ask them if they could just take a little recess so that you could understand what's going on here. Show them
Well, I'm
why
gonna
you're
ask
here.
if they can shut this thing down, I'll just chase this parking lot, like, what's the hell, Mark, tell me what's going on. I
is
didn't
on
know.
Saturday.
He won't answer you.
And him
He's not gonna do so,
inviting
how he
to
kinda
get a
moves.
drive-through.
He's not gonna talk to me. I talk to people like that, I chase them in my car. Like I was worried he was going over the speed limit.
I don't mind
This is
getting
not God's country here, man.
I don't mind getting beat in the competition, you know, for competing for bids,
Yeah.
but
I
if
don't just
somebody
been
can bid fair and square, I
If
get
she
beat.
please keep track of head. I don't know that this was supposed to go on tonight.
Well, that's the way I read it. It's written right here.
I'm sorry, I'm a female and I'm over the hill. And I got a theory, I see things that people don't see. Oh, yeah, I'm now. But I'm getting older, and our memory is not exactly.
We're all getting a little or two ourselves, but in my situation, I'm a busy guy, and I'd like, you know, I wouldn't mind putting one together. I go over here, 'cause I do work down at Fort McCoy. I'm all over the state.
Yeah.
I do state.
And you made sure you was here tonight.
And I made sure I'm here tonight because it's local, and I'm like, fine.
But you know, that would be great to find out that she's not.
If I get beat, but if I find out that they're just like going through the motions because they need to take 3 bids, they've already assigned to something. That's bullshit. How are you gonna get a competitive dollar?
They don't even know how to do it, it's my guess, or they wouldn't have put it out.
Well, Jerry was saying something about there's some dollars in regards to buying a firehouse somewhere. And they're gonna show this garage idea that makes money to buy a system.
I know.
The fact is,
I don't know, the stuff for the fire department was already budgeted, they just got. But I don't know.
no, and that was the bid for the addition up here.
Yeah.
There's a item in here that says,
She's gonna take the money. They're not gonna talk about how much she's gonna get.
here it is. Deliberating and negotiating specifically in respect to discussion of purchase of the city of Waukesha Fire Station on Century Drive. Jerry mentioned pieces, I think that's kind of where that money's headed to, the garage maybe. That's not whole fine.
Yeah.
But
But don't drag the end here and there on your false
you know, I'm over
pretenses.
here trying to respond to stuff we put out, and we spent a lot of time putting quotes together. This isn't something that pops up in a book. We spent about a week calling everybody and everybody to gather all the contractors,
Yeah.
put together a
And you have to actually
Charge, send
design
them a
it
bill.
because you don't get a design off of
We had no design. I walked out there with Jerry and I said, so where's the building? He said, well, it's kind of over here. I'm like, I need to know for layout and piping and all the structure. And you've got telephone lines in the way. You've got to move all this stuff out of here. So I grabbed a can of paint and I marked it for them. It hadn't even been surveyed. We were supposed to put a quote together for all my quotes.
So who all was aware of this now?
Well, I walked in 3 days before it was due. I said, this is all we're going to quote out? I got more information on building your garage at home than that you give me for this heated, such as the foundation. First thing on the line, foundation 6 inches of reinforced concrete.
Is it true that nobody reads the paper that this is going on and that's why no one is here?
Totally. I'll show you the quote. It's outrageous. I know. Did you see this?
gee, I'm sure glad I
You know,
showed
my
up
notes,
tonight.
this is part of it, I got a stack of notes in there, I'm like, okay.
I'm more concerned about how come there isn't
What about
any
this,
money
this,
in that
this, I'm like,
treatment for the opioid thing. They
just
talk about all the
wait.
plans they got and stuff. And my guess is, it's all talk.
and it's bad.
Cause I know somebody who said, oh, I gotta get in treatment, I made this. 5 days later, they'll try to deal with that.
I'm sorry.
And you know what, that person could be dead by that time. Now, what's the problem? I called Nygren's office, he's the guy with the Hope Agenda, and I said, I wanna know, what's the problem? We got a good plan, we're wonderful. Is there any money in it, or what's the problem? They all talk, no funding. Well, what are you gonna do? How many more people are gonna die before you can figure out how to put some money in this thing? You know, there's other stuff going on besides
Well,
that.
that's what they're asking here.
And it's unfortunate, you know, and they can say, you know, I was really glad when Schimmel got in, because Schimmel started talking about, oh, we've been working on this thing with drugs, blah, 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 blah. And you know what he was doing? All talk, no money, no plan, no backing.
There's a lot of weight load going on.
And I thought, why am I so relieved that he got in there, because he's talking, but there's no money.
Our guys come up, we have a 16-inch thickened edge.
You know, and you get right down to it, and somebody says, we need help, and they go, oh, you gotta wait 5 days. They know exactly what they need to do. They need to put money in the program, they can give shots to these people so that they don't use again. Who's providing the shots? That's my question. I used to get those stupid shots. I did that.
Well, you can't.
I've been retired for 11 years and those shots were available.
They keep it warm unless you.
Nobody wants to pay because they're expensive. So you just
Well,
talk
that was
about
just
it.
the first.
I know people whose
Makes you
kids.
feel good though, doesn't it?
No, because I know people whose kids have died, and they're in their early 40s. And I kept thinking, what did they commit? Suicide? What's with that? No, it's drugs. And that's 3 years ago. One last fall. What do you say to those people? They're embarrassed. They think they should be embarrassed that the kids got into it. I could see that going on before.
Unfortunately, it's every block of life, so that doesn't make any sense.
Well, the guys don't live across the street from us anymore, selling alcohol on the back of the car to underage girls. You know, I call the cops, they say, just because you don't see us doesn't mean we're not keeping an eye on you. They don't live there anymore. My girlfriend's kid died.
There's none of that. This is.
He had a car that, no, he says, there's only one person I know drives that car. Look where he is over there. Next thing I hear, he's dead.
Need pits. Get it all hooked up.
A whole bunch of them.
And then you're gonna have.
But there's no money in there to take care of this stuff.
It's just a baby there, a 4 mil baby there.
You see what I can do? I'll go in there and I'll open my mouth and it'll do me a stinking big good. Nothing will change, but I'll call them.
Does anything change? Aren't the supervisors supposed to represent us? Just curious.
I don't know. I think we've got 3 yes men up there. And one guy who puts out the problem, but I'm telling you, that job needs to be posted. Doesn't everybody post jobs like that?
I would think. Go through a hiring process.
Well, they'll put
Qualifications.
little bitty things, you know, where they say, oh, well, we don't have to put out a bid for 3 people to apply for this work.
She worked for Brookfield.
I thought she worked for Waukesha County. She didn't run again because she blew the whole election.
Yes. I thought it was Brookfield.
Even if you wanna hang around.
She's not a detail-oriented person. She is not. She should not have a
I work on the polls too.
On the what?
Oh, I'm a poll worker.
Do you know Kathy Westcott?
I probably have met her, but.
Okay, she's little and she's perky, and I saw her, but just going through the line, you know, and I kept thinking, oh my God, her name is Kathy. Why does she look so familiar? And today it came to me, like, what, year and a half later, that her name is probably Westcott.
You really learn.
She used to work for Waukesha County. She's retired. I don't know if she does it every time. I saw her 2 times when I was here.
Well, they have
Concrete floors, and there's a lot of issues that wall.
Oh, so they take some at one time.
if you work the spring election, you're usually in the fall. That's what I have been doing.
They can't pay me enough to do that.
Well, if
or my husband and I go down and we swim the boats. People I worked with, people I grew up with.
This is the way I get to meet all the people in the town,
There was a guy here one time and I looked at him and he was telling me something and I said, so we have to have what this time? And I said, how many bad votes have we had here in Waukesha, in the town of Waukesha? That we, how many crooked votes have we had here? Like, you know you haven't got any. We know you guys. When we come in, you recognize us. I've been here for 50 years. There's people who know that I come and vote every time. Sure. But since she came here, I don't vote absentee anymore. I show up on election day. I don't want to hand her my ballot. I was going to ask her today when I told her, where do you put this? Because she got one, she put it right down like that. And she's talking to me and I go, I got my eye on that ballot.
It goes into an envelope and it goes
I saw the envelope.
into a box.
Yeah, I didn't see the box.
Oh, it's
See,
a hassle.
see, this is the kind of stuff.
It goes through the hassle of, we work them in between people coming in.
Yeah.
Depends on how busy we are.
But it only takes one knucklehead, as I say, to screw things up. If somebody, like my kid says, they're gonna come and put a new gas meter in my house, and take my computer and my 2 cats, and I'm leaving. Too many explosions.
Told you we're supposed to turn that thing off.
Hush up, I don't even know how to shut up.
We get so many scam calls.
Oh, I bet.
It's unreal.
You gotta leave your shifts working.
We don't even have ours on. We have one.
Here, get rid of it. We want me to come to Marietta again.
About a year and a half, 2 years ago.
You know, I called him today, I was getting a report. I was trying to figure out how come they're investigating where we have our condo up on Lake Winnebago. And,
There you go.
it was a summer cottage, and I said, I wanna know what happened up there, because he blew up that summer cottage, and I only found out today it was a summer cottage. And people did get hurt. They must have got sprayed with glass, and the house next door blew off its foundation. Within the last couple of weeks. And I don't get the paper, my daughter goes, I got the paper, I can't, it was probably the Appleton paper. And she took it home with her, so I've been trying to get a hold of them, she said, we're still investigating. Well, you know that thing that went on in, Sun Prairie? That bar guy that got killed, the firefighter? They're doing their own investigation in Sun Prairie. They got We Energy's looking, but that'd be like putting a fox in charge of the hen house, because We Energy's never gonna take. And they subcontracted that out a couple of times. And then they said,
they had a design that they wanted.
well, did you do the things you were supposed to do? And they all looked at each other and said, we don't know. Well, what does that tell you? Is We Energy's responsible because they sent it out to somebody who didn't really know what they were doing?
It'll be,
I don't know if you
they'll
would
have to take responsibility for their stuff.
It's 14 feet from
They're only responsible to the Public Service Commission, because I called and told them if I lived over there, I had moved out of there.
Ansel system.
They got 2 pipe bombs going off over on Prompton Road, right by the high pressure gas main.
Yeah,
I'm going, what, this doesn't.
went off over there by.
They had the day room on the
I
front.
take that road all the
Yeah,
time.
me too.
Hallway.
I go, maybe I shouldn't.
Bathrooms. They had the third.
No,
floor.
No.
They had showers.
No, and what did they say? The ATF is investigating it because
And then all
don't set up
quarters.
pipe bombs like that in the field without the ATF coming in there.
I said,
So,
I don't know.
it's a federal investigation, I don't want to talk about it, but.
You really want to put that bathroom?
Because I said, you know, what about the people here? You're only accountable to the Public Service Commission. And I said, what about the people who live there? I said, don't you think they might be a little nervous? We might be able to.
So when this stuff
They
leaks,
put out something, say this looks good.
maybe sometime.
Here you go.
That hits
It's
that.
unbelievable. Road, do you ever kind of take a look at that gas main down there? It's almost immortal.
Yeah,
It's on the left. I saw it going in, I go, oh, I wonder what that is.
yeah, it's a,
High pressure gas main.
Yep.
Belongs to we. I tried to call Scott Allen, he doesn't want to talk about it. So I sent a letter to the Public Service Commission, and I sent one to Scott Allen, and I said, gee, I've contacted you twice in the last couple of weeks, I'm
Haven't heard
surprised you
back."
haven't called me back. So then I sent one off to Capinga. They don't care, you know, his district is San Felipe and Leopold. It isn't even ours, but I said, it'd be nice if you could at least tell me. Talk to me about that. You want to mess with me energies? Maybe they don't.
maybe not, I don't know.
You know how they always say follow the money? I say follow the Maserati. You know, that Keach, whatever his name is, I think he's the one with the Maserati. It's a couple $100,000 for that.
Whatever.
So you mix up money, power, and politics. If they blow that up over there, you know what they're worried about? If they didn't do what they should have done, they don't want to fine. They're going to fight getting a fine. They don't care what people do. It just kind of, I don't know, safety. I think safety is important. I don't think it's a political issue.
Yeah, shouldn't be.
Because, you know, you just want to send bombs off to the Democrats. Well, they're going to blow that field up over there. They don't care whether you're Republican or Democratic. How much is the fine going to be? You know, that's all they care. Well, you know, when I was in driver's ed, they said, if you see an accident that's going to happen, is there anything that you can do? I mean, think how long ago I was in driver's ed. I was 16. That's one thing, that's 60 years ago. And they said, if you see something that's going on and you don't try to prevent it, you're responsible too. And so if you see something like that with pipe bombs over here in the gas main, ding, 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 who's responsible for this? Probably me. Probably I'm the only one.
You're probably the only one stepping up to the plate, right? Going, gee, I saw that. They're still talking about, I think it was out east where there were like 30 buildings along.
And they were all on fire. Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Don't you think that just makes people a little bit nervous? When my kid says to me, I'm getting in the car with my 2 cats and my computer, they're going to change my meter. And I said, I think it has to do with more digging, but no, nobody was digging here where they blew that house up. That's a total loss, all that stuff, and you're lucky if people only got slightly hurt. And if they'd been there, they'd be dead. If they'd spent the weekend there, they could have. So. But I've watched the stuff, a lot of stuff that we has done over the years, and I remember.
The word I should have used was recall, and not recall is a better word.
See, I was gonna bake a pan of brownies. The way things are going, I'm glad I did. Yeah, listen to what I have to say. I said, you're gonna create the job post. You know, get somebody. Prove it.
So why don't you just, obviously she can't get it money. She must be at the top of her pay scale or
Oh,
something.
no, it'll be the budget. She makes the budget.
And all the little kitties in there watching us.
You, where is she?
The library.
She told me, how did she so long? It's not in the budget this year, because I said, we're gonna raise.
So that's the kind of work we do.
Well, they have
We're not
to
counting my stuff.
I think it's a sealed deal.
Oh, I'm sure that those two heads together.
And these two.
Depends
physical therapy one time. I don't think I needed it. I think I just needed to get through October. And I would have been fine, you know? Years ago, I heard just that, oh yeah, if you got anything, even gallbladder or asthma, any of those things, people spring and fall. You don't get it. No. Good enough reason, but I can't keep me up before 10 o'clock.
I was at the party.
I would never have called
This
that
was
a bad
Monday.
day if it wasn't for that. And you're 83. I'm 183.
So you stay up late?
You know, they.
Oh, I do. Oh, yeah. Sometimes I don't go to sleep till 3 o'clock.
Thank God there were a lot of us around there that needed. And he's like, but you know.
Oh, yeah. 6 o'clock, I'm sitting there going like this. I go, oh my God, that meeting at 6:30. How am I ever going to get up and go there?
As long as he knows my nursing.
He always tells me don't go, but I do. I'll get up and go. And whether they change things or they don't change them, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell them what I think because I'm all done. Just letting them do it and then sitting and cursing the darkness. And I said, I'll just go tell them.
Because what happens is that chemical that's every year you should have in service. The chemical that's in there, it sits in there and it packs down.
Oh, okay.
And if it's not
Fluid enough?
exactly, that's a good word. If it's not fluid enough, it's not going to come out. And what they do is they service them every year.
Yeah, all
to
our
make
fire
sure that powder is
extinguishers say
loose in
they're
there
good,
and
but I don't think they are. I always keep them right by the kitchen sink.
There's not
by
really
the stove.
anybody particular. I mean, here at the town, we have,
Well, I'm glad we had our own little meeting. They could be in there for hours,
place that we
right?
use here is,
Yeah, they
the
can.
Merton area. They're called,
They said they weren't gonna go past 10 o'clock, it's only
Fire
8, 10.
We use them to service these.
That's
They said they weren't going to?
No, that's
Oh, they
my
were just
limit.
laughing at me.
That's my limit. I wouldn't stay after that because that's my bedtime.
So they only have 2 things to talk about.
Oh, they had all
I
the
think you're right. Alert, yes. Yeah, they.
What was it? Fire
Is it an
department?
action fire? No.
Action.
But that's
Yeah,
off
action,
the list.
they do sprinkler heads and stuff.
Yeah, they do, but they're right over here on
They've
West
already-
Avenue.
I know those guys.
Kind of up by the
Dear
McDonald's
Freeman.
area.
Yeah.
Did you
Put
come
in
right
the
at the
paper
paper?
that they've
And we
already
use them.
sold
With
that
the heroin pop on a fire station.
Yeah, well, they've offered the same,
But it is.
sale offer, and it's not really.
You know, they wanted to rezone some stuff by us and put in. We've had nothing but beauty shops up on the highway. Ever beauty shops and barber shops.
And they lost.
Where are you?
And they lost.
We're over there with the Aldi's on the east side of town.
In fact, I found, when I
Yeah.
was working there.
You know, that Aldi's is where they had the
Yeah,
armed
right across from
robbery.
the new
Real estate
car.
got popped in.
I mean, we're closing on
And it
properties.
says, so the kids
Yeah,
are in
by the new
school,
car
and
wash, yeah, they took out 3
I
properties
go in
there.
that place, you've got
Put that all in there. We can look out at night and see all those lights.
Sale. And I think the owner.
And
We can see Woodman's
no
just stand in the middle of the
about
road.
them having it
It was a good call.
for sale.
They don't bother us. What bothers me is those airplanes going over all the time that I never heard before.
I'm talking about being disruptive.
Never heard
You know
that
what,
sound
and I
like
told
that.
him,
Bigger
Well,
planes.
never-
it
So
was
why is
that
that
Saturday
never
night, we had.
It was because they lengthened the runways over at the airport. They put up big things so you couldn't see what they were doing.
You said, in a paper bag.
You know, for no reason. You just don't know. The people who got the big businesses and they got the planes and stuff, they went around there, so they didn't ask no questions and they just did it.
Fire extinguisher was, whatever you had.
That's our-
Right above
I guess
that.
it's our
Yeah, so was the garage door, so when that all melted.
Yeah, but then that would also be a
Well,
consequence of that.
I'll tell you,
Smoke actually.
I can't keep up with all the newspapers and I asked them, and they're talking about the lead in the water.
So you knew.
I heard on, probably on CBS on TV, that the whole state was gonna have all this stuff about the lead in the water.
Right on open, and then.
And I
she
called them
got-
up and I said, you know what they had in there? They had a big thing with all the people who had
And then the sliders on the back.
postage stamp
So you could literally
pictures
see right
on
through
there.
the house.
But I called them and I said, I had heard it, and they said, we'll put that in the paper when we feel it.
We had a fire.
Thank you very much. Because I'm sure if I'd have gotten like the Green Bay Press Gazette or whatever it is in the Appleton Post Press, they all had that stuff in there. But that paper, those papers are available to me, so I bought that and I go, what the heck is this? I already know how many people murdered, don't you think every night I turn on the murder report, the fire chief was pissed off. The pharmaceutical gas. You know?
They knew that.
You know, in other countries, they don't allow them to run those ads. Because they have the big,
Oh, yeah.
the big whatever healthcare system, they don't want you running to your doctors and telling you want them.
Yeah, they have socialized
Opening your flu on your chin.
They do their own
The
prescribing
whole
over there.
outside, black chimney.
In other countries where they have,
Oh, in England and.
Yeah, if they wanna call one tier system, I don't even know what you call it, universal health care. Yeah. They don't advertise all those pharmaceuticals in other countries, we're the only ones, it's illegal in other countries to do that. We have to put up with that. Oh, well. Okay, they're back, they didn't tell us what happened.
We are back in open session. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the salaries as discussed in closed session.
And a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there another motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we award the town administrator position that we created earlier this evening to our existing clerk treasurer.
And a second.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please. Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Radke?
Aye.
Supervisor Wolf?
Aye.
Chairman Merrick?
Aye.
Supervisor Durr?
Nay.
Supervisor Fisher?
Nay.
Motion carries. Accounts payable. Madam Clerk, do you have the amounts, please? I did. Motion for $5,335.81. Did I miss it? Is a Rupert and Melky deal? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we pay that amount.
Second.
And Madam Clerk, a roll call vote.
Supervisor Fisher?
Abstain.
Supervisor Radke?
Aye.
Supervisor Wolf?
Aye.
Supervisor Durr?
Aye.
Chairman Merrick?
Aye. And a motion for the amount of $46,734.19.
Move we pay that amount.
And a second.
I'll second.
And Madam Clerk, will roll call vote.
Supervisor Fisher?
Aye.
Supervisor Radke?
Aye.
Supervisor Wolf?
Aye.
Supervisor Durr?
Aye.
Chairman Merrick?
Aye. Motion carries. And lastly, a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
Before you guys go, there's a guy here who says that he's got some stuff that you said that you were addressing tonight.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are closed.
He said he was on the agenda.
Pardon me?
He said he was on the agenda.
Well, I'm just concerned, I just question, on the citizens' comment, it says here that you can ask any question you have up to 3 minutes as long as it's on the agenda.
That was at the beginning, citizens' comment.
Right, I missed that part, but my question is on the proposed building bids that came in for the garage, which I